So rather than calling it as Panchakarma, I would like to call it as Upakarmas. Uh, my teacher, Dr. B.S. Prasad, would always be telling that it's not only about the Panchakarmas. He even named it, instead of naming a Panchakarma theatre, is karma, he named the theatre as Karma Siddhi. So it's not only about the Panchakarmas. There have been many karmas which have been explained in the context of these Panchakarmas. So and we're talking on Panchakarmas or Upakarmas for the Pancha Gyanendriya Swasthya. Uh, I've been witnessing these Hitayus webinars since couple of days. It was a very interesting session. We started with Dr. Anantaram Sharma, and today it was a very thing auspicious for me to speak after my teacher, Dr. Sajita Madam. From the day one itself, the word Hitayu has been, it gives a prasannata to me because we have been using this tagline. So whenever we greet any other person, we always wish them Hitayu and Sukhayu. So this is how we have been much utilizing or using this Hitayu word a lot. So when I heard this Hitayu webinar, it gave me a lot of sense of pleasure. So Ayu, so when you talk about Ayu, it is a combination of Sharira, Indriya, Sattva, and Atma. So if there is break in any of these four, then there will not be an Ayu. So such an importance has been given to Indriya here. Indriya itself has been given more lot of importance in this cycle. So even when we see the Swastha Lakshanas, either be explained by Sushruta or either be explained of Charaka, Indriyas have been given a lot of importance. Sushruta says, Prasanna Atma Indriya Manaha, then only the person can be called as Swastha. So if the Indriyas are in their vital state or in a very good state, Swasthya, then only he can be called as an Swastha Purusha. Charaka while telling Prashasta Purusha Lakshana in Ashtamnitya, he tells that Drudhendriya. So again, without Indriyas, without Swasthya of Indriyas, there is no Swasthya. So Indriyas have been given a lot of importance even while telling about Dinacharya, Swasthya, etc. So how to maintain the swasthya of these swasthya? That is swasthya navritti. We all very often keep on telling that the prayojana of Ayurveda is swasthya action, that is keep, preserve and protect the health of a healthy person. So how can this be done? Now Charaka says that it can be done in two ways. Tacha nitya prayojitam swasthya yena vartate. That is, follow all the activities which have been told in the context of dinacharya. Then take care that ajatana vikaranam na utpatikaram cha. Take care that any untoward diseases also do not get utpatti or do not get affected by untoward diseases. Now Chakrapani further clarifies that tacha sasthyam ubhayada, that the two ways how we can follow this swasthya. It says Vishuddhaharabhyam sada kshiyamanam sharira poshana. That is, whatever the doshas have been depleted, those can be done poshana by the aharas. So ahara and vihara in the first line. Second is pratyava hetu pariharena, avoiding all the etiological factors of all the other diseases. Now this avoiding the etiological factors which cause the diseases, again Chakrapani further comment that it is of two types again. Sharira pratyava hetu cha dvivida. That is one by pradnyapara, that is by hina buddhi, whatever the physical activities the person does and the doshas which get prokupita by these physical activities, this cause the first one. Second is dushpariharascha kala vishesha, that is the doshas which are accumulated in the course of the time, like kala, which come under the influence of kala. Swabhavadi, himantadi, kapachayadi karaka, that is diseases also get also, the doshas get accumulated, get sanchaya prakopa in certain kalas, in certain rutus. And that is why he further clarifies that yatha vakshati madhave prasave mase namaste pradave maha puraha sahasya pradame chaiva vaya dosha sanchayam. That is always rutu shodhanas have been advised to remove these accumulated doshas. That is Virechan and Sharad Rutu, Vamana in Vasanta Rutu, and Pravrut Rutu Bastihi. I will not be talking on these panchakarmas because this has already been talked about yesterday in the previous days, how the Rutu Shodhana, panchakarmas in the Sastha can be applicable. So today what I would be talking is on the other part of the panchakarma, that is Upakramas. If you see even the concept of Sharangadhara, The decade was Rasayanas. He says that Balam Ruddin Chavi Meda Tvak Drishtim Shukra Vikram Buddhi Karmendriya. So he gives that he based on the span of 100 years. I mean, if a person has got 100 years, then says that the first 10 decades, the Balya Dravya Rasayana should be given. Second, Vriddhi Rasayanas. Third is Chavi Meda Tvak Drishti. So in Kramena, so these Rasayanas should be given in a person. So if it taken into consideration of 100 years, today we do not have a lifespan of 100 years. It comes around 75. Lord, let us take it around again when divided by 7 or 10. Again, 70 divided by 10, it comes 7 years or 8 years. So every 7th year or 8th year, we need different rasayanas. So when you look into from a perspective of Gyanendriyas here, the first one which gets affected is the chavi, that is tvak. Then again Meda, tvak again. Then in the 5th decade, there is depletion of drishti. Shukra, Vikrama, Buddhi, Karmendriya, the last one. So the rasayanas have been told in the context of these depleting dhatus decade wise. If you look into the prevalence of various diseases which are related to these Gyanendriya, the skin, if you look at the skin disorders, where the Sharangdara mentions that second, the 3rd decade and the 4th decade. Even if you see the incidence or prevalence of the diseases, when you see the gender wise, it is more in male compared to female. But when you look at age wise, even decade wise, most of the skin diseases start from the 2nd decade itself, 21 to 30. And then again, there has been found somewhat decrease in the prevalence. Again, after 60s, again the skin diseases get increased. So this is about skin diseases, which starts early in age compared to all the other sense organs. If you look at prevalence of various diseases related to vision loss in India, the highest of the cataract and refractive error. So again, if you look at the age wise, then these are all the diseases except a few. For example, we don't say that they do not occur in the child age, but the incidence of these diseases in child age is comparatively less when compared to the old age. In the old age, we have got a lot of disorders where there will be which can lead to a vision losses, cataracts, etc. If you look at hearing loss, then this is the data taken from the Americans, John Hopkins from Public Health. He says that this paper says that the incidence or the prevalence of the hearing loss goes on increasing after the 4th decade or of the 5th decade. You can see maximum number of hearing loss at the age of more than 80 years of this. So this means to say that the first one which gets affected, the indriya, which is the then vision, then hearing loss, compared to the olfactory and the taste disorders, the other two sense organs. There are many studies which tell that the evidence of the decline of olfaction considering now the 7th decade. There was another study which tells that 62.5% of 80 to 97-year-olds have got olfactory impairments. However, it is widely accepted that taste disorders are far less prevalent to olfactory. So these are, if you look at from the prevalence of disease and the age wise or decade wise, the first one which is affected is the tvak, then with the chakshundriya, then comes the hearing, then olfactory and taste disorders. So in this presentation, we will be going on the upakarmas which have been told for the prevention of diseases of Gyanendriyas. So I would like to start with the Abhyanga first. तथा शरीरम अभ्यंगा दृढ़ सुत्वक्ष जायते प्रशांतम आर्तपादम क्लेशस्य व्यायाम समानम. Right? So Abhyanga brings drudata to the sharira. Whatever the diseases, what are caused due to the vata, prashanta martha bhada, all the ailments of the vatas can be prevented by if Abhyanga is done every day. Klesha Vyayama Samsaham, that is, a person will be able to withstand fatigueness, excessive exercises, all these things. Sparshan in the Abhyuta Vayu Sparshanam, that is the Vayu which is present in the Sparshan, there is mainly in the it is present Ashraya in the Tvak. Tvakascha Param Abhyangastam. Tasmat Shile Nara. So every day the practice of Abhyanga is very much beneficial. What happens if done every day? Abhyanga. Na cha abhighata na abhihatam. Gatram. Abhyanga sevina. So once you practiced Abhyangas daily, we don't need to get feared by Abhighata or Abhihata. That is the incidence of these Abhighata. The disorders which are caused due to Abhighata and Abhihata will be less in intensity. Then Balakarmina Chakoti, it also gives Bala to the body. Susparsha, that is their skin becomes more smooth. Balavan Priya Darshana, more attractive to look of. So Bhavat Abhyangam Nitya Nitya. That is why it is said that Abhyanga should be taken Nitya, or Nitya Sevana of Abhyanga should be done, so that there will be Alpajara. That is, we do not get affected by the geriatric disorders, which premature of geriatric disorders. So usually what we advise in daily practices, depending on the condition, we use the Tailas for Abhyangas. If it is a Vata dominant condition, we use Bala Taila. Vata Pitta, we use Kshira Bala Taila. Vata Kapam, we use Kottam Chukadi Taila. So similarly, in Pitta, Chandana Bala Lakshadi. If it is a condition is Pitta Vata, then Guduchadi, Bala Guduchadi, Pitta Vata, Dhanvantara Taila, Mahanarayana Taila. In case of Kava Prakriti, we go with Kottam Chukadi, Nirgundi, Sarshapa Tilata. The most common things oil which are in household, present in households, are Sarshapa Taila and Tila Taila. Here in North India, many people use Sarshapa Taila here. So depending on the conditions, for example, in Vasanta Ritus and we advise them to go with the Sarshapa Taila Abhyanga. When we advise the people to do how the Abhyanga should be done in the home, when the person, we tell that apply to the whole body while doing Mardana, concentrating mainly on Shiraha, Shravana and Pada. So we know that these three are the main important sites where Abhyanga should be done. So concentrating mainly on these three areas, the whole body, we advise the whole body massage. It usually started with Shiro Abhyanga, and the same oil is applied to all the body parts. And sometimes, many of some patients, we also advise them while doing Abhyanga itself, instill some 6 drops of Thaila in both the nostrils and 2 drops in both the eyes and ears, so that all the activities are get completed in a same month. So this is we practice from the Consultant Characharya, and after the completion of procedure, we advise them the bath. So oil must enter Shikhra, Shiro, Mukha, Ro, Mukupan, Dhamanis and Tarpanas. So this is how we advise Abhyanga. Regarding the directions, we advise them the general Anuloma Gati, but there have been some other, depending on dosha avasthas, different directions of Abhyanga have been mentioned. For example, like in Vata Dushti, Anuloma Gati, in Kapha Dushti, Pratiloma Gatis. In case of Pitta Dushti, there should be an alternative directions, Abhyanga in alternative directions. After Snana, we usually, after Abhyanga, we usually advise them to go for a Snana, which also can be talked as which can be also called as a Sveda. We do advise the subjects Ushna Jala Snana. There are some bath ethics. We call them bath ethics. Ushna Madhakasa Parisheka, that is, we advise them. Usually people are not very aware that that Ushna Jala should not be taken on the Shiras. So we tell them that only you use very lukewarm water on the head. The rest of the body you use a Ushna Jala Snana. Characharya mentions that Characharya mentions what should be the gap after the Abhyanga to the Snana. If Abhyanga is done daily, then he says that stay for 5 nadis and then take bath. That is approximately 2 hours and then take bath. If Abhyanga is done once in a week, then stay for 12 nadis. That is approximately 5 hours. If done once in a 15 days Abhyanga, then go for 6 hours. If done once in a month, we go for stay for 1 day and then he must take bath. It practically is very difficult to advise to the patients or to the healthy individuals that because in the daily routine one do not have so much of time to devote it. So usually what we advise is once in a week or whenever a holidays you go, we do Abhyanga, let the oil be on your body for at least 4 to 5 hours and then have a bath. But regularly we do advise them Snana after the Abhyanga. Udvartana, after the Abhyanga, Udvartana we also advise them Udvartana for subjects, especially in certain conditions like Vasanta Rutus, and if it is Kapha conditions. Udvartanam, Vataharam, Kapha, Medo Vilapanam, Strikaranam, Manganam, Tvak Prasadikaram. It's also one of the modalities where beneficial for the Tvakendriya. We advise, we usually prescribe Kulata Churna, Kula Kulata Churna, Tifla Churna for Udvartanas. But once practicing Udvartana and Swastha, there will not be any Sharira Dorgandhata, especially this decreases Meda and Vikruta Kapha. It provides firmness to the body, smoothness to the skin, increase to the complexion to the skin. In one of the studies where we did in, whereas when I was working in Keliva, there was one of the study on Udvartana, where the powder, the Udvartana, which was used to, the Udvartana powder, which was used, it was analyzed after the Udvartana. The whatever the powder was utilized, it was analytically, it was analyzed after the Udvartana. You could find that there are a lot of oily contents present in that Udvartana churnams. Coming to the Murdhi Taila, lot of importance has been given to the Murda, that is Shiras. If we compare it with a tree, we call it as universally. For example, tree has all got solid roots in the below the ground, and human body has got the roots are all in the Shiras. We call it that one. So Shiras Indriyani, Indriya Pravanani, just Rutamsi, Suramiva Gamas. Right. He says that this Shiras is the seat for all the Indriyas, Indriyavas Rotas, and Pranavas Rotas. And that is why Nitya Sneha Nityam Sneha Ardhar Shirasa Shirashulam Na Jayate. So every day this Shiras should be done Sneha Ardhar. It should always every day oil should be applied to the Shiras. So by this the Balam Shira Kapalanam Visheshana Maibhavardeti. Druda Mulascha, Dirgascha, Krishna Kesha Bhavanti. He also says that Charaka also says that Indriyani Prasidanti. So Indriyas, which are mainly situated in this Shiras, there will be prasadana of all the Indriyas if Murni Taila is practiced. Murni Taila is again of 4 times Abhyanga, Sekha, Pichu and Basti. These are Uttarattara powerful, maybe Uttarattara more beneficial. But the logic may be that in Basti the amount of the time of the contact of oil with the head and the quantity is more compared to that of all the other procedures like Abhyanga, Sekha and Pichus. For a daily practice, we advise the patient go for Abhyanga or Pichu. Sekha and Basti have to be done in clinical settings rather than the home settings. And one more upakrama which can help in prevention of these third disorders is Mukha Lepas or Lepas. I'd not be concentrating much on this as morning we had a session with Dr. Sajita Madam where she explained the whole thing of Lepas. To brief up, Mukha Lepa is of 3 types, Doshahara, Vishahara and Varanakara. Can also be Pralepa, Pradeha and Alepa depending on the thickness of the Lepas. Depending on various Rutus, different types of Lepas can be applied. Kunkuma, Kasturi in Shita Rutus, Kunkuma, Agaru, Karpura in Vasanta Rutus, Grishma again, Chandana, Shita, Varsha again, Agaru. In case of Sharat, Chandana, Ushira, Karpuras. So all these lepas can be applied in the Mukha. Used as a Mukha lepa. So after taking care of Tvak Indriya, then comes the Chakshu Indriya. Chakrapani says, Chakshum Pradhanam Sarvesham Indriyana Vibhurdha. That is that Chakshu is the Pradhana among all the Indriyas. Even if you take into the, he compares it with the Bhaskara, that is compares with the sun and all the other Indriya and all the things, the other planets. So when we interact with the world, we rely more on vision than any other sense organs. If you see the complexity of processing visual this information, the primate brain is engaged in processing visual information than processing information in any of the sense organs. The amount of energy what is needed, the amount of the complexity present in this indriyas is far much compared to the other indriyas. And that is why if you look into the modern research, many of the researchers have been, if you look among all the sense organs, vision is the most researched sense organ. There was one study where they asked the participants, this was an online study, they asked the participants, losing which modality would scare you most? So people responded that losing vision scared them the most, followed by auditory, tactile, haptic, olfactory and gustatory. Olfactory was the least one. Though we don't say that it's not important, but it's important. But when you compare it to all the other indriyas, vision is the most important indriyas because without it, many of the things, I mean, we are in darkness. The panchakarmas which are used, which are practiced for the netra are called as an netra kriya kalpas. These are Akshay Tarpana, Putapaka, Seka, Ashwatana, Anjana, Bidalaka and Pindigi. Among the Dinacharya practices, the most common thing which is practiced is Saviranjana Nityam Hitam Akshma Prajaya. That is, Saviranjana should be practiced daily. Pancharatra Ashtaratra Sravanartham Rasanjana. Rasanjana can be practiced in Pancharatra Ashtaratra. So Saviranjana, that's very difficult to get in. I mean, very difficult to get it and advise it to the normal public. We usually advise them to do Anjana with pure cow ghee or a honey or a castor oil or a jasmine buds or almond shells. These can also be advised them as a Anjanas. But care to be taken when we prescribe Anjana in a community, because there have been a lot of paper, there are a lot of researchers, recent research will tell that these the kajal or surma which is used for Anjana, this is highly, I mean, the lead toxicity has been found in this. So when we take care, we do not much advise this Anjana, especially even in take of gender wise, somewhat females can be advised Anjana, but we do not much recommend Anjanas compared to other plants. This Anjana Charakas says that Chakshus Tejomayam tas Vishesha Shleshmato Bhayam. Chakshu is Tejomaya organ, then it also has got a bhaya of kapha. Thus Kleshwaram Karmam Hitam Drushte Prasadanam. That is why it says that these practices should be practiced, I mean, these Anjana etc. should be practiced to remove the kaphas. Yatahi Kanakadina Malena Vidinatma. That is, as the gold ornaments get greased out, they get worn out, or they get I mean they did that. Then how do we clean them? It is we clean them by a taila, vastra, and the brush when we use them. Same way, if we use, it gives an example of this with this simile. Same way, if netra is cleaned by this Anjana Ashchotanadivihi, that is like the netra kriya kalpas like Anjana and Ashchotanadi, then there will be nirmalataha of the netras. So that is why Anjana, not only Anjanas, even Ashchotanadivihi, he clarifies that it's not only about Anjana, all the other kriya kalpas can also be practiced. So this is Ashchotana practice. We prescribe it to most of the individuals here. That is, Ashchotana simple can also be done with Sharangdara says that Shitojadavisan, installation of few drops of cold water into the eyes 3 to 4 times a day. Sometimes we also use, depending on the prakritis, we also use Trifla, Yashti Madhu, Dharvaridra drops for Ashchotana. Netra Prakshalana, washing eyes with decoction of Lodra or with Amalakas, and we also sometimes, depending on the dosha conditions, we use Netra Prakshalana with different dravyas. For example, in Vatasya condition for Shatavari and Dashamula, Pitta, Patala, Draksha, and Ishtimadu, and in Kapashas, Trifalas. Trifalas, majority of the cases as a Chakshusha, we use in majority condition with the Trifala Kwatas. Then comes the Akshi Tarpana. Tarpana is also a rehydration process. So especially this Akshi Tarpana, we advise in condition of dry eyes, roughness of eyes, in Vata Pinda domination conditions, and in this Tarpana is highly beneficial to the people on jobs where eyes get strained. Nowadays, we are involved in such certain jobs where eyes get too much of strain. For example, computers or gadgets, or even, it's not only about computers and all, even while driving, when you have a heavy traffic, eyes get a lot of strain. And even in the jobs where the people who work in jobs like watch industries or where mobile industries or where electronics industries, where a lot of strain is felt on the eyes. So in such cases, in such patients who practice at these jobs, who work at these jobs, we advise them the Tarpana. Can also be done daily in conditions of Vatas and alternate days in Pittas, and interval of 2 days in Kapha and in Swasthya conditions. So this is how this Akshatarapana cannot be, we don't usually advise it in kind of home settings. We ask the patients to come once in a while for once in 15 days or twice in a month for Akshatarapana at clinical settings. Foot care. Many acharyas opine that there is a link between the foot care and the eyes health. We see that we have been learning this since the day we have been admitted in the BMS course, in the field of Ayurveda, that there is some link between foot care and eye health. According to Yoga Shastras, there are 2 nadis named as Gangadhara and Pushpa, which supply the nutrition to the eyes, and they are intimately connected with the feet. And that is why even wearing footwear has been called as Chakshusha. Massage to the foot, that is Padabhyanga, has been called as, has gotten Chakshusha effect. Modern science, when it talks about modern science, foot is an end organ, and the nerve endings are highly sensitive. The stimulation of the nerve endings at the foot, it reflects the eyes via sympathetic and parasympathetic supply. So that is why we advise food should be kept clean, pada bhanga should be done, paduka dharana should be done to avoid physical injuries. So these all together have got a chakshusha effect. Even Murdi Tala has got a chakshusha effect. Right? It is said that Alochaka Pitta is of two. One is chakshusha vaisheshika and buddhi vaisheshika. So the optic nerve which ends the drushti patalam is the directly extension of a brainstem. So the oil, whatever is applied on the head, especially at the region of Murda, acts on the drushti patala through the optic nerve. The daily application of these oils, selected or medicated in prakriti of a person, helps in prevention of many of the eye diseases. Other upakramas for eye care can be a cold water application. Sharangdar also explains about Shitambu Parisrama, that is keeping a mouth full of cold water 2 to 4 times a day with the eyesight, will keep an eyesight and ensure a good vision. Panitala Sparsha, this usually practiced after having food, that is keeping the cold palms of washed hands after taking meals in contact with the eyes will prevent Timira forever. So these are all been practiced in our traditions already. Coming to the Pratimarshanasya, after eye care, then we have Pratimarshanasya can also act as a Sarvangas and Sthanika also. Charaka says, Varshe Varshe Anutelam Cha Kalashu Trishu Na Chare Pravrut Sharad Vasanteshu Gata Madhya Navasthala. He says that in Pravrut Ritu, Sharad Ritu, Vasanta Ritu, every year when there is a clear sky, this Nasya should be practiced. Rasyakarm Yathakalam Yo Yathoktam Mishavet, Na Tasya, Chakshur, Na Granam, Na Shrotam Upanti. There not be any disorders of Chakshu, there not be any disorder of Grana nor Shrota. Na Siu Shveda, Na Kapila Kesha Shmashana Vapuna. Na Cha Kesha Pramuchati Vardhanti Cha Visheshta. So these have been, it's not only acts out local, it has got a systemic effect on the entire body, especially on the Vruddhangas. Due to anatomical communications, the medicine applied through the nasal cavity reaches all the areas. It particularly strengthens Shringataka marmas, which is the seat for all the centers of eye, ear, nose, and tongue. In short, to say that Nasya has got action on all the srotas, it has got, hence it cleans the Shirasrotasis. So the accumulation of V-shaped kapha in the srotas of eyes can be prevented by the daily application of Pratimarshanasya. There have been few studies which have been conducted on nasal irrigations. One of the studies which was conducted was nasal irrigation with hypertonic solution. They indicate this study tells that the hypertonic saline nasal irrigation in gargling, they reduce the duration of coronavirus upper respiratory tract infection by an average 2.5 days. Now, we have seen that there has been increased importance being given to the Nasya, importance to the Kavala Gandushas. These are all Dinacharya practices have come up increased practice in the recent 6 months. We could say an Ayush advisory which released on the home care management of COVID, home care management for COVID. It says that it prescribes the use of Nasya with Anutailas. Even in the post hoc care for COVID management, even the Nasya has been included. So this Nasya is more being more adopted in nowadays. Now, even essential oils, one other study which tells that this was with a hypertonic saline nasal solution. There was one more study with the essential oils. They used many oils along with even the gargle oil, the garlic oil. They say that it has got an anti-inflammatory property, antioxidant, immunomodulatory, antiviral properties, and are being proposed to have an activity on SARS-CoV. These are all the studies which have been conducted on computer docking. They are not been on the trial of human trials, but on computer docking, how do they act, how by that they have been all been visualized. So they mean to say that it has got a proposed activity on even SARS and COVID-2. So Nasya has got has been gaining more and more importance, not in recent days. Coming to the Karna Purana, Karna Purana is filling the ears with the lukewarm medicine like Thailas, Varasa, Snehadravas, Gomutras, etc. Usually what we advise is gentle massage should be done with the medicated oil around the ear for a short time, and then a liquid should be poured in the drops in the air canal. This for Swastha, the duration has been talked as 100 matra, approximate 2 to 3 minutes. And the Thailas which can be used for Karnapura, Tila Thaila, Kshiravara Thaila, Bilvadi Thaila, etc. This is we advise regularly to the subjects, patients. So the benefits of Karnapurna, na Karna Rogo Vatatam, na Manyasam. Sangraha, Naicha Shutina Bhadina, Sya Nityam, Karna Tarpaya. After Karnapurna, Dhumapana. Prayogika Dhumapana has been explained in the context of Swasthya. And this, it is said that the Acharyas opined that whatever the doshas, the residual doshas which have been accumulated after Nasya and Vamana karmas, the Dhumapana helps in evacuating them. So the drugs which are usually used are Haridra, Gugulu, Gogruta, Devada, Raghu, etc. Regarding the practical implication, we do not much advise these dhumapanas because it's practically difficult. It can be done in case of clinical settings, but in case of in home settings, it is very difficult. So for a home care patients, we do not much prescribe dhumapana. Whereas in clinical settings, after Vamanas and Asyakarmas, it has been practiced. Coming to the Kavala and Gandushas, we know Kavala and Gandushas. The difference between the Kavala and Gandusha is that Kavala can be practiced at any age. It means that this Gandusha, to practice Gandusha, you need very strong mandibules, very strong mandibles. So usually Bala, Vruddha are advised Kavalas, whereas the people who have got very strong mandibules in the oral cavity, they will advise them the Gandusha. Even Kavala and Gandusha have been given a lot of importance in recent days. Anarbalam Suram Balam Madanopucha Syacha Rasadhyana Manya Ruchitaram. So these Kavala and Gandusha have been said that they increase the Ruchi to the Rasanendriyas. Along with that, it has got also other beneficial effects on the dantas and Drudamula. Nacha dantakshayam yanti Drudamula bhavanti cha na shulyam nach yena dushyante bhakshanti. That is, it becomes, even the mandibular oral cavity becomes very strong. Even Dantadhavan and Jivanirlekanas have been explained in the Acharyas that increase the Rasadhyanas. So these they promote overall. When you look at a broader angle, they overall improve the oral and digestive health. They improve this Dantadhavan and Jivanirlekana. They improve the sense of a taste. It should be done twice a daily and can improve taste or sense. In another thing, there was a study which tells that that is the overall incidence of gluten, streptococcus, and lactobacillus bacteria in the mouth were decreased, and these bacteria are known to have a very bad breath and dental decay. It improves overall health. It removes the bacteria. It helps in preventing cavities, gum disease that can affect the mouth. These are the recent updates regarding the tongue. Says that there have been new concept evolving in the modern science. Now they say that taste receptors, they're not only limited to the taste sensation. Until now, it was said that the taste receptor are limited to a taste sensation. And they have, which is linked with the type of the food we intake. That is, taste receptor just to do the taste reception. That if we eat sweet food, it feels sweet. So it's not that. So nowadays, the recent studies say that taste receptors have got an importance in modulating the local innate immunity also. There are certain taste receptors. This is taste receptor type 2 taste receptors whose ligands are bitter substances. I mean, they mainly are recepting the bitter substance. They are these are suggested to be involved in appetite regulation, treatment of asthma, regulation of gastrointestinal motility, and control of immunity. Now until now, Dantadhavana, the Jivanirlekana, Kavala, Gandusha, we've all been limiting our knowledge only to the local effect, but it's not that. Even modern science is expecting that they not only have a local effect, they have got even the systematic effect. They say that these type 2, these trace receptors are present throughout the body, which help in the controlling of the innate immunity. Type 2 taste receptor 10, especially the receptor 10 in type 2 taste receptor, it recognizes 1/3 of the bitter component tested so far, and it has been found to have main functions of controlling infection disease caused by bacteria, viruses, and parasites. So this is what they mean to say. It's not only about oral hygiene or local effect. It has got a systematic effect also. Oral hygiene practices in COVID-19. Let's see that Kavala, Gandusha, all these have been given much more importance in the era of COVID-19. There is one paper which tells that ACE2 is a main host receptor of COVID-19 on COVID 2019 virus, and it plays a crucial role in the entry of virus into the cell to cause a final infection. So these ACE2, the main host cell receptor, these are expressed in the mucosa of oral cavity. And interestingly, these receptors are highly enriched in the epithelial cell of the tongue. So this paper provides an evidence that these practicing these oral hygiene practices can help in future prevent can also help in the prevention of prevention of COVID-19. It's not only about preventing COVID-19. Now we are more worried about COVID-19, but in future this can also be help in a preventive strategy, prevent as a preventive strategy in daily life for preventing various other infections also. So this was all about the various upakramas which have been mentioned in the context of uh, prevention of diseases for sense organs. Now, when it comes to the practical aspect, how do we prescribe a lifestyle? How do we prescribe these to our patients? So many it are all India Institute of Ayurveda. We do practice this lifestyle by lifestyle algorithm. We have made an algorithm here that as soon as the patient come to us, we first assess their prakritis. Then once we assess their prakriti, is an important component. So once we assess the prakriti, then we go with the swasthya assessment. Uh, we know that health is a dynamic state. It's not a fixed state. It always be moving from we have an health, we have an ill health, we have a positive health. So we should always be moving from ill health to a positive health. Fitness scale is something where it's a component of assessment scale. First assessment scale where we talk that how person of fit is. Once we found that it doesn't have any abnormal. It's not when you look into the when you look into the swasthya definition, it's not only about ill health. It's not only about the absence of the disease conditions. It's all about how fit you are. Kshut, pipasa, atapasa. How can you withstand these conditions? It's about fitness scale. It's not only about ill health. It's also about the fitness scale. So we do have developed a questionnaire. We assess their fitness scale, where we assess their health scale. Then for prescribing diet and lifestyle, as also diet comes under component of Astavrata. We do them the we assess their nutritional assessment, their Agni Dhatu avasthas, because unless and until we know the Agni and Dhatu avastha conditions, diet and lifestyle cannot be prescribed. And then we also take a detailed history of their lifestyle assessment in terms of Ahara, Nidra, and Brahmacharya. So Prakriti assessment, we do generally follow a general Prakriti assessment scale. And as I told previously, we do have developed a health assessment scale. This is based on Samatva of Dosha, Dhatu, Agni, and Malakriyas. We have two components in it. The first component is fitness component. The second is the health component. These have again scalings 1 to 0 to 180 and 0 to 55. So the more the score, the better is the health. So based on these Swasthya scale, diet and lifestyles are tailor based. This is a brief view of this question here. We do have a as I talked about a fitness scale, we have illness scales, physical, mental, and social. Then this is a nutritional assessment scale. So before proceeding further, we always, after once we assess the Prakriti, when is Swasthya, we assess the Dhatu condition also, that is the nutritional status of a person. Then comes a modifiable risk factors. We take a detailed history of their diet practices, ahara, vihara, and brahmacharyas. Like in terms of ahara, what vidhi vidhana does he practice? Like we do have a general rules in Ayurveda that ahara should be taken in certain way. But when it comes to practically, it's very difficult to change these things. For example, a person goes in the morning to the office. We tell that Ushnamashniya, so it carries the tiffin box along with him. So we cannot practice. We cannot tell him that even in the afternoon take a hot lunch. So there are certain practices which are practiced and certain theoretical things. So we try to apply these things into how can we try to think that how these things can be brought in practically, and type of ahara, what type of ahara it takes, because Ahara is one component where I have understood that it is different in different regions. Now in South India, when we talked about when I was in my home state, there rice is an important component. It's a staple diet for us. So whenever a person gets ill, so we tell them that take a simple ganji or rice in it. But that concept doesn't hold in case of North India. Here, people take rice very occasionally. So even ahara depends on person to person, region to region. So we need to understand what type of ahara does he take, and based on these aharas, we can make a permutations and combinations. Then modifiable risk factors, nidra, ideal timings and quantities. If we take into consideration of his entire detailed history of what time does he sleep and what is the quantity or quality of his sleep, everything is taken into consideration. And coming to the lifestyle, personal, we evaluate is what is our hygiene practices, what are his physical activity levels, what are the preventive therapies like Anjana, does he practice anything? Coming to the occupational health, we also try to analyze that what is his working hours, what is his working pattern, sedentary, laborers, etc. Traveling time, because in metros, traveling time is taken more compared to the other areas. We find here that morning we sit here and morning the person leaves home and to reach his office it takes 1 to 2 hours, and usually every it's in every person. So this is what we have developed a form called as lifestyle lessons. Here we take into consideration everything. Now I would like to present a couple of cases here. How do we practice this diet and lifestyle? Especially this presentation would be specifically with reference to a Pancha Gyanendriya Swasthas. This was a patient. Don't not reveal his name. He was a parliamentarian actually. He had a consultation with us. I mean, he was of 62 years male. He was a, I mean, he was perfectly healthy. He didn't have any complaints except on and off in a gastritis or what we call as amlopithus. No, he doesn't have any medications. He was not on medications. So we first assessed his prakriti. He was a vata pitta prakriti. Then we went with Swasthya assessment scale. Then we had nutritional scale. Then we were given a lifestyle. Uh, his lifestyle was not much complicated. He was waking up around 7 o'clock and bedtime was around 12 o'clock. He's parliamentarian. He used to work around 10 to 12 hours a day. As soon as in the morning at 9 o'clock, he had a lot number of visitors. So his routine activities, bowels was normal. He practiced none of these anjanas, kavala, nasir, because if you go into the community, it's very less practice. Neither the faculty, it can be, we see the prevalent practice, but when you go to the general community, these are very less practiced, except in certain rural areas, these are practiced. Massage, he used to go for a once in a week because they do have an access within. He had an access with one of the Ayurveda clinics, so he used to go once for a massage. And some yoga instructor used to teach him yoga and meditation 30 to 40 minutes every day. Warm bath water. We used to take bath with warm waters. We advised him ethics. Foot massage, no, bed type, you are soft. Then office hours, travel time, daily used to use around 1 to 2 hours in traveling. Sitting job was, yes, of course, sedentary. But sedentary doesn't mean that he used to sit in front of computers. The use of computers or the gadgets was very less in in this patient. Relaxing activities again none. Traveling out of station used to travel often, but now due to COVID lockdowns and all, he is traveling very less. Traveling very less. Day sleep, very rarely he used to sleep. And if you ask about stress scale, he was not much stressed. We took out a scale rating of 5. So when you took his fast assessment scale, but these questions are related more with the Indriyas. He didn't have any other problems except with I mean, yeah, he used some, except there was to be, he graded 2 instead of eyesight because reduced eyesight. And hearing, he didn't have any problems. Smell, he didn't have any problems. Whereas skin, he had some problems. He had certain discoloration, and certain patches are in on his skin. Taste sensation, again, didn't have any problems. So based on that, we prescribed him a lifestyle menu. This lifestyle prescription is only pertaining to a Janendrias. We advised him Kavala Gandusha with Tila Tila. Nowadays, whenever we give a consultation, we advise Kavala Gandusha as a compulsion. I mean, these are given and these are made up. I mean, even COVID condition, they are not. Them people are much more aware of it also. They do oil pulling, oil swishings, etc. Then we advised him Ashwatthana with triple R drops, 2 to 3 drops, so that any visual to improve his visual acuity. Then Abhyanga daily, we advise in 15 to 20 minutes, and once weekly, 40 to 45 minutes with Kshira Balatail. Nasya, we advise with Pratvarsha Anatailanas. Karnapurna while doing Abhyanga, because we advise them that Karnapurna also do while doing Abhyanga, instead 2 drops in each, each years. We also advised him what are the bath ethics, then we advise Pada Abhyanga before sleep. So these are the lifestyle prescription which we gave him. We also try to correct certain lifestyle corrections. We, after giving the prescription, we try to correct something, some corrections. He was somewhat late to rise and late to bed. We asked him to gradually, because sudden changing, sudden cannot one cannot change these habits. So we asked him to gradually change to a early to bed and early concept. We advise some relax and meditation even the evening hours. Then most important sedentary, he was in sitting job mainly. So stretching exercises in a workplace. Nowadays, even Ministry of Ayush has come up with a protocol called as a breakup yoga, 15 minutes breakup yoga. So in between, these are certain yogic practices in between, in your job when you sit up a long time, you can take a 15-minute break and do yoga in it. Practice many of the ministries. So this is one more case. He was a professor at a university. BMI was almost normal. Then his bedtime and wake up time are absolutely normal. Then bowels normal. Again, he didn't have any practices of gargling, nasya, or putting oils in the ears or massages. He was a sports person, so he used to activate. He used to practice around 30 to 40 minutes of sports activities. Again, bath with warm water. When you look into the occupational history, working hours of 8 hours, travel time, he has gotten more travel time, 3 to 4 hours a day. Sitting job, yes. Use of computers was has, use of computers even in teachers has been increasing now since the lockdowns. Distance teaching practices, online classes, webinars. So since morning till evening, sitting control computers. Relax activity, he did certain activities, half an hour activities. Travel session often. Stress scale, he was a bit stressed, and we look into a Swasthya scale pertaining to the Indriyas. He didn't have any other problems in any of the sense organs except in the eyesight. Then we advised him Kavalan Gandusha with Telathaila, Ashwatthana with Draksha and Ishtamudu drops, 2 to 3 drops twice a day, because he was much exposed with the, he was just a lot of sitting in front of computers, and even the travel time was very high traffics. Sthiroseka once in 15 days to keep the stress down. Then Abhyanga daily 15 to 20 minutes, weekly 45 minutes, with practiced weekly, then 40 to 45 minutes with Dhanvantara Taila. Nasya with Pratimarshanasya again, Karnapurna while Abhyanga doing 2 drops, Pathetics, Padabhyanga. So this is slight modifications we advised him in these conditions. So this is how we practice these upakarmas even in the lifestyle prescriptions. Lifestyle corrections. We advised him relaxation time, meditation, yogas. We also asked him to reduce the travel time, because people do travel a lot will do travel a lot here in Delhi. Even though distance is very less, but time taken is very much. So I advised him to reduce the travel time. But if he cannot reduce, many of the times we cannot change the thing. So even though travel time cannot reduce, we asked him to reduce driving hours. The driving gives more strain on the eyes rather than we are advised to go with the metros, cabs, etc. So this is how we practice here these diet and lifestyle practitioners at EWI. Thank you. Thank you for giving an opportunity for talking with you and having interaction with you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for an enlightening session, and also for the recent updates and correlating them with our Ayurvedic modalities, and even regarding the present scenario that is COVID-19, and how to protect our Jnanendriya Swasthyam, or how to enrich our Jnanendriyas. And also for the clinical case discussion, we extend a special thanks for you. And we have few questions for the session, sir.
Yes, madam.
So first one, by wearing contact lenses, do the health of our eyes get damaged, or do you suggest wearing spectacles is better than using contact lenses?
I think this question would be better. The person who would better answer this question is a Shalake expert. I do not have much expertise whether using a lens would be better, a spec would be better. But from the concept of hygiene concept, I would go with the spectacles rather than using lensman. But nowadays there are various techniques also to avoid these spectacles. There are various other treatment measures. Even spectacles can be avoided.
The next question: how practically it is possible to use Rasanjana for Shodhana of Netra?
Pardon, ma'am, I couldn't get you.
How practically is it possible to use Rasanjana for Shodhana of Netra?
That is why I told in a presentation that Anjana, we do not much practice it, madam. Because when you put it into practical life, it's very difficult. When there are matter, and there are a lot of myths also. People get aware, people get scared of when you talk about putting something in their applicant, something in their eyes. Traditionally, fine in rural areas, still it is fine here. But when you go to metro cities, people do get scared. So we do not usually practice Sravananjanas. Rasanjanas, yes. And even we asked them as presentation, I told them we asked them, 5 minutes. We asked them to do Anjana with honey and ghee also, ghruta also. So we do not practically advise, we do practically advise Rasanjana, madam.
Any carcinogenic studies are conducted to know the safety of smoke products during Dhumapana?
Pardon me?
Sir, any carcinogenic studies are conducted to know the safety of smoke produced during the Dhumapana?
Not much, madam, because Dhumapana has got, I'm not very much in preferable of Dhumapana, though Acharyas have given a lot of explanation of Dhumapana. They can be better done in clinical settings, but home settings, I don't think they are much preferable because we always have a controversy with the current practices. Dhumapana, if we ask something to do with though herbal, but it's not much practice. So I didn't much highlight on the Dhumapana part and the Sravananjana.
Question from audience: what is the relationship between Padabhyanga and eye health scientifically?
Madam, voice is very feeble.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. What is the relationship between Padabhyanga and eye health scientifically?
Scientifically, right now, we do not have any such data which tells that the eyes and feet are connected. That is why I've been telling a presentation that based on yogic science, we can tell, based on Ayurvedic science, we can tell. Modern science, they say that it gets activated. This feet is an end organ of a body. So anything gets activated, it gets stimulated through sympathetic and parasympathetic. Other than that, we don't have any much literature where we can contact a relation, where we can have an establish a relationship between feet and eyes.